Morning it is, and we're going to learn something phenomenal here today. It's really beautiful, the Sikha of the Rebbe. It's a very simple concept based on a very deep concept. And that is the way you need to learn Torah. You need to learn it on all levels. You need to learn any knowledge on all levels, on its simplistic level, on its deeper level, on its side. As we say, the Torah is like a garden. It's compared to like a garden. A beautiful garden has many different, an orchard has many different trees in it. That's why in Hebrew, it's called, in the Gemara language, called a pardes. Pardes is a garden in Aramaic. Pardes has 4 letters. Pshat, Remesh, Drush, Soid. It has 4 letters. Pei, Reish, Dalet, Samach. Pshat, Remesh, Drush, Soid. That means this orchard has can go into 4 levels, basic 4 levels. Each of those levels can go into many levels. But they're basically the simple meaning, the beautiful homiletic part of the story, the remez, the illusion, the way we continue the branches of the story of this pasuk, and then you have side, you have the hidden, the esoteric, the hidden part of the story. So hidden part of the verse. So we're going to learn something on a simple part of the verse. We're going to go into its hidden aspect, which you're going to see that Rashi, the phenomenal Rashi, it was a great sage in the 1100s, 11th century, who wrote a simple interpretation to the Chumash, to the verse. Right, the verse, but he brings down like unbelievable things, like concepts that blow away your mind, so to say, in a way that he brings to the verse. He brings to the verse such beautiful concepts, and there has to be a reason why he wants to bring it to the verse, because he's teaching it to a 5-year-old. Really, Rashi said, "I'm teaching it to a 5-year-old child." So Rashi comes to a 5-year-old child and tells this child amazing concepts. And there must be that Rashi wants to tell the child to go a little deeper and to go into the esoteric part of the verse, maybe go into the medrash, or the medrash of the story behind the story of the verse, and get a better perspective in life, in what God wanted for you in life. And because the verse talks to every one of us what God wanted for us in life in general. Okay, this is a beautiful teaching of the way the Torah wanted you to live your life, the Rebbe says, based on a verse, but it's a very deep concept. At the same moment, it's an extremely deep concept. You with me? Okay. So I hope everybody gets the new book. Those that don't come here, those that are on Zoom, that you get the new book for the upcoming. We're almost finished this book. We're holding Pinchas, and then I think there's only one more class, or maybe no other class. And that's it. This is the last class of this book.
Got it.
So,
Got the new book.
Get the next book. Well, now you're asking a very personal question.
It's on Amazon. It's on Amazon. I already ordered it.
On Amazon. But whatever you want, you can get it either way. Those that come here, you'll have the book, Mitch Shem, next week, the new book. Okay. Truly, as I say this already a couple of times already, this is a very fascinating Parsha, because it's the portion that we read the most in the Torah. This portion, the portion of Pinchas. We read it every holiday, the portion of Pinchas. We read it every Rosh Chodesh, portion of Pinchas. It's one of the most read portions in the book. Okay? It's a beautiful portion. It has within it the counting of the Jews. Again, it has within it the holiday season, from the Korban Tamid, from the daily offering, to all the holidays that come to Jews throughout the year. And it has within it also the dividing of the land of Israel, how the land was to be divided. It was a very complex division. It was not an easy, first of all, to divide the land into 12 parts, even 11 parts, because one tribe did not get any part, but 11 parts, and everybody should be happy, was not an easy thing to do, because everybody wanted Jerusalem, I believe, and not everybody got that, right? So some people got the Negev, or they got different parts of the land. So it was not an easy thing to divide, and therefore, just to give you a little bit of background, therefore the land, and you look in the Torah, it was divided by, in general, by three different ways. That means when Moshe already divided the land, told the Jews where, and ultimately told them where they're how they should divide the land. He put it into motion, and he said that the land is going to be divided. Number one, by a goydel, by a lottery. A lottery is going to be in the way that we're going to put 11 pieces of paper in one jar, 11 different ways to divide the land in another jar, and each guy is going to come, take his hand, put his hand in one box, take out one paper, and take out another paper, each head of the tribe, and he's going to, whatever the paper A and paper B come out, that's going to be that tribe's part. That's number one. Number two is the Urim V'Tumim. Even before that, the Urim V'Tumim was a breastplate that the Kohen Gadol wore, right? Remember that breastplate? This breastplate had every letter in the Hebrew alphabet. This was a very spiritual, powerful breastplate. And when the Jews had to go out to war, for example, and they wanted to know what God's feeling was in this war, they would go to the Kohen Gadol in the Beit HaMikdash. They would ask the Kohen Gadol, and his breastplate, this is the Gemara, don't look at me, the breastplate would actually shine. Certain letters would suddenly shine. And the Kohen Gadol, from that, what the letters shined, he explained what God's intention was. So too, and this is all Rashi. This is not something I'm telling you, deep concept. This is Rashi. Rashi's telling every child. So the Urim V'Tumim told every tribe where their place is. So we had double protection, right? You had a goydel, you had a lottery, and you had the Urim V'Tumim. You had the Urim V'Tumim, the breastplate that said, Shimon, you're going here. Yankel, you're going, not Yankel, Levi, you're going, Levi didn't get a part. Yehuda, you're going there. Yisachar, you're going there.
I thought it was just the names of you said it, so did it spell out words?
Yes, all the words, because I had all the 22 letters.
The names, it would spell out words like, take a lot of weapons with you.
Yeah, words. Yeah.
So how did that work? Was a name of the tribe?
No, it's all different letters from the different tribes. So you put together the words. Yeah.
Individual letters would light up.
The letters will light up. That's what's called.
Kind of message out.
Right. Correct. So you have to have the Kohen Gadol. Hopefully he translated it. I agree. We need a lot of things. So that's why it's called Urim V'Tumim. That's why it's called Urim means to light. V'Tumim. Right. Okay. This was one of the miracles. They didn't have it in the second temple. They were missing that. Urim V'Tumim in the second temple. Okay. Then we find a verse, and that's in text number 1a. We find a verse. The verse says, Al Pia Goydel, the inheritance land shall be a portion to the tribe where the numerous is for by the pronouncement of the lottery. Oh, we have the word Al Pi on the announcement of the lottery. What does that mean, an announcement? The simple meaning is whatever an announcement lottery. You pull out your ticket A, right? When you pull out a ticket, they say your number is 134. We announce the lottery, so we know who won the lottery. But Rashi doesn't interpret it that way. Look at Rashi. Rashi says, Al Pia Goydel, text number 1b, Rashi says, by the pronouncement of the lottery spoke. Oh, we have miracles of all miracles. That means he took out a piece of paper. He took out a thing. The lottery said, Shimon, you're getting, as you'll see, Akko, whatever. It's a famous, that's interesting. Why do we need why was there need such a miracle? You had the Urim V'Tumim, you had a lottery. No, it was not enough. You need the lottery to speak. Why do we need that? Why does Rashi tell us that? Why does Rashi comes to interpret the simple verse? Why does he have to come on to this miracle? That a lottery speaks, paper doesn't speak. Right? So we had the talking donkey a week ago, and now we have the talking lotteries, the talking papers. It's a miracle that is not necessary, seemingly. So we look in the Gemara, text number 2. The Gemara says, it's a Gemara Talmud in Baba Metzia. The land explains it in a simple way. The land was divided by lottery, as the verse states, only by lottery. The land was divided by a prophetic spirit communicated through the Urim V'Tumim, the engraved letters on the high priest's breastplate, as the verse states, by the pronouncement of the lottery. How can it both be true? Eliezer, the high priest, donned his breastplate. He was the high priest at that time. Aaron was not alive, through which God communicated. Joshua and all the Jews stood before him. A lottery receptacle with the names of the tribes stood before him, and a lottery receptacle with the names of the land of portion stood before him. He ascertained by divine spirit and proclaimed, the tribe of Zvulun will rise from the lottery, and the portion of Acher will rise with him. He draws from the receptacle of the tribes, and Zvulun emerged in his hand. Zvulun was there, and he picked out the name Zvulun. He drew from the receptacle of the land portion, and the portion of Acher emerged in his hands. He has attained once more by divine spirit and proclaimed, the tribe of Naphtali will arise from the lottery, and the portion of Ginzer will arise with him. He drew. That's what happened. The lottery itself spoke. It's unbelievable. Whatever. Take it. Anyway, you want to take it. The simple meaning of Rashi, talking to a 5-year-old, says that's what happened. It's not such a shocking thing to me, because the Urim V'Tumim, if you believe that the Urim V'Tumim can give you the message, so you can believe that if God can make miracles, it's not a big deal to me till God made a miracle. My question, what was needed in the miracle? That's the Rebbe's question. Not that it's shocking that God made a miracle. God can make miracles. It's good to be God. But what's the need of the miracle? Why do we need that extra step? And that's what the Rebbe wants to bring out. A complex question, simple, coming out to a simple teaching. Yeah.
And no disrespect, but Jews aren't allowed to believe in sorcery.
There's not sorcery.
What's the difference between magic and?
There's no magic.
What's the difference?
No, it's not magic. Because magic is an illusion. It's an illusion. It's an illusion. No, these are not illusion things. That's what I'm telling you. It's not illusion. That's a separate question, but that's a valid question. But that's nothing to do with the miracles of the Torah. We don't believe in sorcery. We don't believe in black magic. We believe in miracles, but we believe in miracles. That's a miracle is not a black magic thing. That's an illusion. We're not looking for illusions.
If it doesn't happen again, I mean, couldn't that be interpreted that
You can interpret, you can misunderstand, whatever you want. I'm telling you what the verse says. Don't argue with me in a verse of the Torah. I'm not here to protect the Torah. I'm not here to. As Jews, we believe in miracles. It's not something that's far from us. But at the same time, we don't rely on miracles. Okay, you're not supposed to rely on miracles, but we believe in miracles. Okay, there are miracles that happen through nature. There are miracles that happen above nature. Miracles is not a threatening thing to the Jewish people. Okay, that's not my problem. That miracles happen, not a problem. They got water from a stone. That wasn't an illusion. They drank the water. So that's not a problem. I have no problem with believing that. You know what I mean? Because I believe in miracles. That's it. I don't believe in hypotheticals. I don't believe in magic. I believe in miracles. I don't believe in it. That's what the Lubavitch Rebbe, whenever they made a show and they said, we're having a magician. And he said, you shouldn't use the word magic. You should use the word illusionist. It's an illusion. There's no magic. Magic it's an illusion. It's an illusion. It's a illusion. It's illusion. There's no such concept that a person can do, today a regular person is doing magic. God can do a miracle. Not a regular person cannot do a miraculous thing. You can do an illusion. You can have a lot of good illusionists. You have famous illusionists that make airplanes disappear. Okay, whatever. No, but you have illusionists, very famous illusionists that really are amazing, but self-understood. We know it's an illusion. It's not something that they can actually do.
So when you said at the beginning of the class, knowledge is everything. Gain knowledge.
Right.
As we gain more knowledge and we learn how things work in life, sometimes things don't make any sense anymore. Things that we believed in, and we accept it, whether they made sense or not. As we gain more knowledge, aren't we supposed to use that knowledge? It's something.
Correct. So what you have to use it is, what do you learn from this miracle? That's what the point of the sikh is. The point of this sikh of the Rebbe is what you learn from this miracle. It's not the point to believe in the miracle, not to, but that's not. We're not going to hear argue about that. Either you believe in miracles, you don't believe in miracles. Fine. I'm not here arguing you. I cannot prove to you to believe or not. That's not my point. The point is that that's what the Torah says happened. Take it any way you want to take it. The lesson over here is, what is the lesson from this miracle? We were both not there at that period. We couldn't agree with that. So we cannot argue on something that we were both not there. So I cannot say that it happened 100%. You cannot say it didn't happen 100%. We're both talking in it. I believe in the miracles, so I believe it happened. You want to argue with it? That's fine. I'm not. We can't. Neither of us can prove nay or nay, because we can't argue on something that is not there. We weren't there. So if we were there, we can argue. Was it a miracle? Or was it not a miracle? We can sit and argue on that. Okay. You could say wasn't, and we can go on. But we can't argue something that happened 3,000 years ago. So let's just go on. Let's just go on. Okay.
It was a miracle. It's a historic point. Came up with the conception of a lottery.
Yeah. This is not the first time they came up with a lottery. No. On Yom Kippur, there was a lottery. There was a lottery, which goat will go to there and which goat to. So the lottery system was already in the Torah before this story. So the truth is, it's an interesting lottery in general. I'm making a lottery. Don't forget, you have to buy your tickets. States and identification. So there's a concept of lottery in the Torah. It's not the first time, as I said, Yom Kippur, when the Torah talks about Yom Kippur, in the couple of weeks ago, the Torah talked about in Vayikra, the Torah talks about a lottery. How do we choose which goat will go to the temple and which goat will go to the Azazel, the mountain? Okay, but we know that we all into the lottery of Purim, so to say. The Purim is a famous lottery of Haman's famous lottery. Okay, but in general, we know the rule that, as text number 3 says, Rabbi Nissim Godina says as follows: the Ran, a very famous rabbi in the 1300s, he says, God desires to preserve the natural order as much as possible. The Eibishter works through nature, and that's the way God established the world. He works through nature. He doesn't do miracles. It's not the way you don't want to live in a world of miracles. That's why I said before that there's a general rule: you don't rely on the miracles. Okay, you just don't rely on it. You cannot say I'm going to walk through a cage of lions and I'm going to rely on a miracle. It's just not a very good practice. Okay, unless you're Daniel, but he didn't either walk through the cage of lions. He was thrown into it. But okay, so we don't rely on miracles because why? Because hungry lions, that's the nature that they're going to eat you. So don't rely on the miracles, because in nature, God works through nature. So if you're throwing in through a cage of lions, make sure you have a good machine gun, So in order that nature is precious to him, because the Eibishter created nature as he created miracles. And that's it. We shouldn't look for miracles. And that's what you question before. Why you don't have? Because miracles don't change anything. If God has to work through miracles, then it's not human. It's not the way God created the world to work through.
Back then too.
Okay, I agree, and that's the question is why was there miracles, not why with today is no miracles. Really, the question is why is there miracles, and that question you should know is not a new question. It's an old question, and there's many commentaries on it. What was the point of the miracles, etc. And the truth is that God Himself in the Torah answers that question. God says, "I've done miracles just to prove, just that in the system you should realize that I'm above nature. That even though I've created nature, but just realize that everything comes from something that's above nature, a miraculous kind of a situation. You shouldn't look at nature as a regular thing, but actually nature is a miracle. Nature could be the miracle. That could be the miracle. And therefore, the Eibishter God put it into the system that God can show miracles and a rock can give water, etc. Because that a rock doesn't give water is also a miracle. That the water flows and a rock stands is also a miracle, because if not, we wouldn't have buildings. So thank God, God made a miracle that a rock stand and water flows. It's even though that we call nature, but that's a miraculous concept too. Yeah, it's a creation by God. That God created rock to stand and water to flow is also a miraculous concept. You cannot give the reason why water flows and why that's nature. Nature is a miracle, is a creation. This is going to be the deep concept of this class. You should know that you ultimately have to, and you like that stuff. You ultimately have to see within nature the miracle, right? If you're waiting for miracles, the miracle's right in front of you. The miracle's right in front of you. You don't have to work for a miracle. You don't have to pray for a miracle. You don't have to hope for a miracle. You're living a miracle. So what are you looking for something? But we'll get to that, okay? So therefore, the Ran writes, and this is not a new thing by the Ran. This is known in order to nature to pressure him. He overrules it only in cases critically necessary, and therefore there are miracles. Baruch Hashem. There are miracles that happen in life. There are miracles, right? Whether you want to agree with it, a guy turns his head and a bullet misses him by an inch because of the turn of the head. That's a miraculous situation. However you want to do it, I don't want to get into who it happened with, but that is you have to see the miracle in it. You want to. I mean, it's really the turn of the head. What's so great of a miracle is it? But the turn of the head is the miracle, and that's a reality. A miracle happened in front of the world. A miraculous thing happened. It shouldn't have happened. In normal situation, it wouldn't have happened. He turned his head at that moment. It's just amazing that it happened at that split second. It's a miraculous situation.
It's a miracle you just happened to be standing on the door talking to the roofer when I came up. Otherwise, I wouldn't have gotten into class.
Correct. That's a miracle. 100%. 100%. So to explain this concept in depth, it's a deep concept. I'm going to explain you a deep concept. I'm going to tell you a story. Before we say text number 4, I'm going to give you the introduction to text number 4. The text number 4 is a statement of the Rebbe that happened in a story. So I have to give you the story. I have to give the background story. So this happened in 1970. There was a group. There was a group of Siddim that came to from Eretz Yisrael, from the land of Israel. They came to visit the Rebbe, and the Rebbe, they were going to leave. They came for Yontiv. They were going to leave, and the Rebbe, 1970, was a much smaller group of Chabad those days. 1970, it was not as big as today, and the Rebbe made a farbrengen for them. He made a gathering for them before they left. So the flight, let's say, was 7:00 from the JFK, and the Rebbe called the farbrengen, for 1:00 or 2:00. I don't remember. I was 1970. I was young. I was a little kid, so I don't remember this farbrengen. But the Rebbe made a farbrengen for them, and all the Siddim came and they were farbrengen, and the farbrengen was going 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. And had to go catch their flight. Right? They had to catch their flight. So the Rebbe realized that they had to catch that these people are nervous, right? Everybody's sitting in front of him looking at the watch. It's 5 o'clock. We gotta get to the airport. We gotta put our luggage. We gotta the flight. We're gonna miss the flight. So the Rebbe realized, a group of I don't know how many guys there, and he realized that they were uncomfortable. So he stopped in the middle of his talk, and he said, "I'm going to tell you a story of the Frierdiker Rebbe. I'm going to tell you a story of the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe that happened in 1920. What happened with him personally and his father-in-law in 1920. 1920 was right in the middle of the communist rule, the communist grip over Russia, and they were after the whole communism. Besides being they were after the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe. They created a group. It was a group of actually Jewish people, then Kivedeh, the Vesetskis. There was a group that dealt with the Jewish problem, the Jewish problem. No, the Cossacks was with the Russian, was with the Tsar. This is much later. This is after the Cossacks area. It's the communist rule, Stalin, Yamach Shemoy, and this group. And they created this group, and they were after him personally. It was a known fact that they were after the Frierdiker Rebbe, and they ultimately, in 1927, condemned him to death. They were after him. Why? Because he was basically going against the communist rule.
That was a group of Jews that were after him?
Yeah, there was a group of Jews. They created in the secret police. They created a special group for this problem, for the Lubavitcher Rebbe, for the Rabbi Schneerson. Because the Rabbi Schneerson at that time, the Frierdiker Rebbe was actually going against the communist rule because they closed all synagogues and they closed all schools, and he was kept an underground school system going on. So they knew him, and he didn't hide that he's doing this, and so they were out to get him, and they followed him. They were what? It's a famous story. This is This is not a secret story. I mean, ultimately, that's what you based Thomas last week. The celebration of Bitam. He was condemned to death, and he ultimately got out of it. They changed it, and they ultimately kicked him out of the country. Came to America. That's how he came to America. He was kicked out of Russia. But he was like a number one enemy of the Russian regime in their fight against Judaism. So the Rebbe tells a story that one day he walks into his father-in-law. He walked into his father-in-law's room, and because his father-in-law had to catch a train. He had to catch a train, like in the train, he had to be there in like 15 minutes. And he walks into the room, and the Rebbe, his father-in-law, is sitting and writing Russia. They were in Russia, in 1920. So the Rebbe his father-in-law was writing the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe used to write his own Maimorim, used to write his own discourses, write it down. He was a prolific writer, the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, and he was sitting and writing, very calmly writing. And his son-in-law is telling the story. He said, I was like amazed that how calm he was. 15 minutes, and and they had to get to this thing, and there's a dangerous situation. Everybody's, the secrets, everybody's spying on him, what he's doing, where he's going. And, this is like a very rough time. And he's sitting there extremely calm. So he was amazed. So he asked his father-in-law, how are you so calm at this present moment? Like I'm amazed. How are you so calm sitting there and writing a discourse when we have to be in 10 minutes, we got to be in the train station. And we have to do it we got to go in secretive ways, and we got to figure out how to get there. And you're sitting here so calm. So the Rebbe, the previous Rebbe said, I'm going to tell you about a great rabbi, Shlomo this rabbi's name was Shlomo ben Aderet. He lived in Spain in the 13th century, this sage, who gave 3 lectures daily, 3 deep lectures in Jewish law daily, and he maintained a thriving medical practice like the Rambam. Rambam also went through the story almost exactly the same way. In addition to his Torah studies, and he was the rabbi of the synagogue of the city, and all the people that came to him, yet he found the time every day, this rabbi, to walk take a walk every day. He took a walk. He took a stroll to clear his mind. He would walk in. This is in the 13th century. So he made a time to take his daily walk. And when he took his walk, he didn't have any worries. He walked. He didn't, even though all these things that he did daily would be unbelievable. Everybody would have anxieties. So it seems like this rabbi didn't have any anxieties to all these things. How did he relax? How did he relax? How did this rabbi have the capability to be so relaxed? So that's now text number 4. Okay, I gave you the story to text number 4. This is part of what the Rebbe is saying. The natural explanation is, when the Rav Shlomo is lectured, the answer is, the Frierdiker Rebbe is telling the son-in-law, he says to him, when Rav Shlomo lectured, Rav Shlomo ben Aderet, who lived in Spain, lectured, the rest of his calendar ceased to exist as far as he was concerned. For the duration of his stroll, also everything ceased to exist. Not even his lecture existed for him. He, in essence, lived in the moment. He, in essence, lived in the moment. He didn't live for the future or for the past. The man lived for the moment. If you live for the moment, in essence, the Frierdiker Rebbe is telling his son-in-law in 1920, I'm relaxed because I'm right now living in the moment. I'm writing the discourse. The train doesn't exist. The Rebbe is saying this story in front of the Rebbe Fabrengen, going back to the start of the story, right? He's saying the story, right, to the Chassidim. So he's telling them, in essence, at this moment, there's no plane, there's no JFK, nothing exists. At this moment, nothing exists. So what are you worried about the plane? The plane, in essence, doesn't exist. Why? Because at this moment, we're Fabrengen. Chassidim are sitting in Fabrengen. We're learning Torah right at this moment. Nothing exists. Nothing should exist. Right now, what exists is we're sitting here together in this room and we're learning. That's what exists. Nothing else exists. The past is gone. The future doesn't exist yet. So therefore, what are you worried about a plane that doesn't exist? What are you sitting over here at a Fabrengen? And he tells him, what are you sitting here at a Fabrengen? Look at your watch about something that doesn't exist. You have an anxiety of something that doesn't exist. So you not only the future doesn't exist, but you're bringing something that doesn't exist to bother the present. You're bothered right now because of something that you match. I don't know the end of the story. They caught the plane or not. That's happening. That's not the point. That's not the point. That's not the point.
Did the previous Rebbe catch this train?
Yeah. Everybody caught the train. Everybody caught the plane. Don't worry.
Everybody got to where they were supposed to be.
So the Rebbe, I mean, this is a nice concept. It's a nice philosophy, live in the present. Okay, we can all do that. We can all think that is a wonderful concept, but it's not. This also the next text is something that I've mentioned many times in this show. And this is a very famous writing commentary, halachic dictation. The Rebbe, when the Lubavitch Rebbe would want to say that philosophy, you can have philosophy and law. Sometimes philosophy and law don't jive, always. But Jewish philosophy is law. You should realize that Jewish philosophy, any philosophy that you're going to have in Yiddishkeit, Torah philosophy, you're going to find it in law. Because the Torah philosophy is not just the philosophy out there. The Torah philosophy is law. It is a practical thing. And that's why when you need to really find a philosophy in the law. And here, the Rebbe would bring this down, this famous statement, this famous question that was asked, and was not only asked by this sage, was asked about it, as you see his answer. This is a rabbi who wrote this halachic responsa in 1400s. Rav Batz, is Rav Ben Zimri. Okay, he's a noted halachic rabbi. Again, he was over here. It says he was born in Spain. He immigrated to Sfas, but he was expelled from Spain in 1492, and he was chased. These great sages were chased throughout the world, but a Jew, and then Jews were a great desperate need of in general in those days. So a Jew asked a question from many rabbis that he was given the right. He was in jail. He was thrown into prison, and he was told that he was going to be given the right to leave jail for one day in the year. And he wanted to know what day he should choose. And he wrote this question to many rabbis, and he got different answers, and ultimately he got the answer from this sage, and this is what the sage answered him. I noticed, it's a long answer, I saw actually the physical answer, it's not like this type, but he bases this, he bases his answer on Torah. He doesn't just come out and say this nice statement. He says, I've noticed that one of the sages of our day dwelled into the subject, but came up empty because he built his arguments on faulty foundations. First he suggests Yom Kippur, then he switched to Purim, and therefore, sharp rabbi, his ruling is inappropriate, and don't rely on it. The ruling must rest on this foundation. We have an undisputed halach principle that a mitzvah must never be postponed. Accordingly, the very first mitzvah, you're in a jail. You cannot do any mitzvah, right? You're in jail. You're not in an American jail. You're in Russian jail, wherever that was, in Spain. I don't know. They didn't let them do nothing, right? So you're in a Spanish jail, Spanish Inquisition. You're in jail. They're giving you a chance to go out. This is a letter he wrote to this Jew in jail, the Rajbaz in the 1400s. He wrote this letter to a Jew.
Why is this coming up? It's not.
I'm giving this part of the class. The ruling must be, what's it?
Jumping to a
No, not jumping. It's exactly what's part of the class. Listen to his answer, and you'll see why. So therefore, a mitzvah should never be spoiled. Accordingly, the very first mitzvah opportunity that arises that cannot be performed in prison, take providence. So therefore, if they tell you, you can go out of jail today. Because today you can put on tefillin. When you get out of jail, you'll be able to put on tefillin. You'll be able to you'll be able to eat kosher. You'll be able to help another Jew. You'll be able to daven. You'll have a siddur. There's unlimited things that you can do right now. So why wait for Yom Kippur? Why wait for Purim? Why wait for Pesach? Go out now. Even though you think, Yom Kippur was a better day. No. That's in the future. You don't establish something in the future. You establish on the present. You establish your concept on the present. And therefore, when you're asked to go to jail, then today, Sunday, if they told you, you can go out of jail, pick a day, today. I'm going out of jail today. What do you mean? You're going out of jail today and come back tomorrow? Yes. I'm going out of jail today and come back tomorrow.
Who's in jail? I don't understand.
A Jew wrote, I preface it. You seem like you weren't listening. I preface it. A Jew was in jail. He wrote a question to different rabbis that he's going to be allowed to go to jail for one day. What day should he pick? Did I say that? Okay, good. So the answer that he got was, and trust me, in those days when you wrote a letter to a rabbi, I'm sorry, it took him 6 months to get the answer. Okay, so it didn't happen like he sent a WhatsApp. So the answer came 6 months later. I don't know when the answer came. But whatever, the answer was today. The answer was you go to jail today.
Don't postpone it ever.
Don't postpone nothing. You live in the moment. You need to live in the moment. So good, right? It doesn't matter whether it's a major or minor mitzvah. You say, well, it's much better to go on Pesach because Pesach I can eat matzah. No. Even though today, what I'm going to do? Today I'll put on tefillin, but then I can eat matzah I can eat maror, I can be at a seder. Shouldn't I pick pat? No. It's a wrong concept. You should go out of jail today. Even though today you're not that much you're going to be able to do. In Jewish Torah, you better put on tefillin and then daven and thing. You're not going to do all the other mitzvahs. Go out today. This is quite obvious to me. That was his response. Yeah. So you see, you have to realize in Yiddishkeit, this is a very important thing. And that's what's going to come to this Parsha, ultimately. It's very important that as a Jew, we shouldn't look at anything that we do as something that brings to an end. We live today for tomorrow. Why? Because the end is tomorrow. We do the mitzvah today because of the tomorrow.
Tomorrow is already the future. You want to be in the moment.
Again, but even though the future is important, ultimately, because you need to prepare today for tomorrow also. I mean, if you're not going to prepare today, if you're not going to prepare yourself today, you won't have to. No, I'm not going to. No, therefore I'm not. Listen to me. I'm not contradicting myself. I'm not. If you listen to me, and you'll see I'm not contradicting myself. Because I'm not living today for tomorrow. So, for example, if I'm going to travel tomorrow or tonight, I better pack today. When am I going to pack when I'm leaving? You cannot do that. You need to pack now for later. But I shouldn't look as the packing as for the leaving. No, the packing itself has its own purpose. The packing itself is for the now, not only for later. And the truth is, you know what? This is a very practical thing, I'll tell you, that if you pack for the now, why is it good to pack for the now? Because if you pack for the future, you'll realize a lot of things you'll forget. Right? When you get there, you say, oh, I forgot this, I forgot that, because you were so busy thinking about other things. If you would pack and you would say, I'm packing for the now, not because of the future, even though it is for the future, and you should pack now because you don't want to pack a second before you leave. So you want to pack hours before you leave. But you should really pack now for the now. Focus on the packing because the packing itself has a purpose. So the packing is not only for the future, and my point is. The packing is for the present. There's a purpose in why I'm packing now. Not only I'm packing because I have a trip. There's a purpose in the packing. It has its own agenda. And therefore, focus on the packing. That's why this rabbi that took a walk, he didn't take a walk because he wanted to have a relaxation. He took a walk because there was purpose in the walk itself. And therefore, he didn't think about the past. He didn't think about the future because that was not the purpose in the walk. Then you're going to lose your walk. So while I'm walking, if I'm thinking about the past or I'm thinking of the future, I'm going to have a disturbed walk. So therefore, even though it was for the future and it was for the past, he needed a break. His mind needed to have a break. So doing so many things, his mind needed a break. So he took a walk. But the break was not, the break was there for itself. And that's why he was relaxed. That's why when you live in the present, meaning that everything I do in the present is not only about the past or the future, but the present has its own agenda, then you can have a true presence. And that's the problem in general. When we come and learn, let's say, right? When we come and do something, we do things half done. Why? Because we're busy with the past. We're worried about the future. And that's why the present is messed up.
So there's really no future or past. That's just in our head. In reality, there is only in the moment.
100%. But that's a deep concept. The deep concept is that the Eibishter creates the world constantly. If you learn to see this, the Eibishter creates the world. So the world was not created. So the world that was yesterday is gone. The world of the future was not created yet. So how can you prepare for something that was not created yet? That would be seeming like a waste of time.
Beautiful.
It's a deep concept to understand that the creation of the world happens every moment. So that's the Chassidic concept, to believe that the world created every moment, that therefore the past is irrelevant because it's new creation. And the next might not be created. In essence, who said there's going to be a plane in an hour? Right? If God creates the world every minute, so maybe there won't be a plane in an hour. There won't be a creation. So what are you worried about? Right?
You could die 2 minutes from now.
Okay, I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to go there. I don't want to go there. I don't want people to have nightmares. So let's talk about the plane's not going to be here. So that's better. That's a much better thing, right? So the truth is, you might say that's stupid. No, but in Chassidus, the world was created constantly, so there is no plane in a second. There is no plane. There is a plane because God in a minute wants to plane. There's no plane because there was a plane yesterday, or there's a plane right now. There's no plane in a minute. And that's why it's a deep concept, because it's not so.
Go into your computer and look up quantum mechanics for dummies. I'm serious.
Okay.
That's what you're talking.
Okay, beautiful. But we go to the Torah. What?
There was no trip.
No, right. So I pack now for the now. Because I'm packing. Because now I have to pack. Because I have to pack. I need to take clothes and I need to put it into the suitcase because of the now. That's it. There's a concept in the packing right now. That's it. There's a concept. Figure out what is the concept in the packing right now. That's it. Yeah, you're right. I gave you an example. Therefore, you should be calm when you pack, and you should pack because you're packing for the now. You need to be calm. You need to be focused on the packing. You need to make sure that everything's packed. And you're packing for the right now, because now things need to be packed. That's it. You're right. The plane might be canceled. And you might not go Bichlal on the trip. That has never happened. Trust me, it has. So, no, then I wasted my packing. Then I wasted an hour on packing. No, I didn't. Because there's a purpose in the packing. There is a purpose in that packing. What? Sometimes I can see it, sometimes I can't.
Don't forget
I had a funny story. That happened to me. I took a person to the hospital this Sunday. I come into the hospital, in Delray Hospital. It was a trauma. So I went with him. And I came into the hospital. I told him, as I walk into the room, they let me in the room with them. I walk into the room because I came with the ambulance people. I walk into the room. The guy, I'm just sitting with the room. I'm standing with this person in the room. He's laying and I'm sitting. I say to him that the Rebbe says when you come to a hospital, there's a reason why you came to the hospital. You came to do some mission, a godly mission. He smiles. And then not 2 seconds later, the doctor walks into the room. This happened this Sunday. The doctor walks into the room. He looks at me, he says, "Do you have your pair of tefillin?" Do you have the pair? He looks at me, he said, "Do you have it?" I said, "No, it's in the car." He says, "Alabavitcher doesn't carry a pair of tefillin with him." Hey, go get your tefillin. I want to put on tefillin. That's it. I know why I slept in the hospital. The Jew need to put on tefillin. I learned my lesson. Now I gotta always walk with my tefillin. I don't know. I might meet a Jew. Say, "Where is your tefillin?" So there's nothing. You went to the hospital. I mean, ultimately everything's Baruch Hashem fine. Whatever. You didn't go to the hospital for that. You went to the hospital to put a guy on tefillin. That was your mission. You gotta live in the present. It's not an easy thing because we're humans and we don't live that way. But here the Torah wants to tell you that's the way you need to live.
How is the patient?
Baruch Hashem. Everything is worked out. So that's why I said we had to schlep there, the whole thing, and wasted 2-3 hours. But it was not a waste of 2 hours. We put a yid on tefillin. That's it. That was the mission. That was the purpose. No, my tool was actually somebody came in my car because I told the guy to come in my car. So I have a tefillin in my car. So the guy came in my car. So I ran out and I got the tefillin and then we put him on tefillin. Baruch Hashem. Yeah, you always have to have a pair of tefillin. You never know. You might meet a Jew who says, "I want to put on tefillin." You're not going to have a tefillin. How are you going to... What's the funny thing? He says, "Lubavitcher without a pair of tefillin." Funniest thing. Okay. So here, we see this in the Torah itself, in this week's Parsha. It says, and Moshe, actually, not in this week's, later on, it says, and Moshe Rabbeinu wrote the starting points and their journeys according to God's instruction. The conventional purpose of a journey is either to leave our current station and to arrive at our future station. That's the purpose of journey. In this case, the journey itself was purposeful in fulfillment of the. That's the point. What's important? Tell us this whole thing that he went from point A to point B to one. Look, it should have been just written. They left Mitzrayim, they came to the land of Israel, and that's it. Because that was the point. That was really the point. But here the Torah says no. Every place is important. They stopped. The journey itself was on the mouth of God, because even the journey was an important thing. Everything is important. It's not the ends that is important. That's the point. We have to get it out of our heads. It's not the accomplishment that's only important. Sure, the accomplishment, I'm not arguing with that. So you have to get there. But don't look at the journey as something that's unimportant. It's just there to an end, it means to an end. No, this is a means, has an ends. This journey itself, this packing the packages, has its own purpose. Has its own purpose. Self-understood. I can take all the stuff, throw it into my suitcase. That's what I would do. Thank God I'm married. And there's a purpose. No, you cannot take everything and throw it into it. You need to pack it. You need to pack it correctly. The packet takes longer.
One time I packed, I forgot stuff.
Exactly. That's why I let my wife pack. So exactly. Because why? Because we're just thinking about the end story. We need packing is a waste of time. It's a burden. It's a pain in the neck. No. Yeah, then you get to the place. Half your stuff is gone. Half your stuff is messed up. Everything is in disarray, and you have nothing. Why? Because we're not thinking about it. We take the packing as a waste of time, as a burdensome thing, as an end to a mean, or a means to an end. The most important.
Pack so you could learn the lesson.
You're 100% right. You're 100% right. But my wife does a much better job. In this case, the journey itself was purposeful. In fulfillment of the divine command, the journey was a command by God. The packing is a command by God, so to say. Similarly, the place they stopped at the way were also fulfillment of divine command. They didn't just stop in 42 stops just because they had nothing to do with themselves. They stopped in every stop because they were supposed to accomplish something there, whatever it was. Every detail of the journey, even if it appears necessary for the next stop, was mapped out and instructed by God for divine purpose. And that's the way you need to look at everything.
What's the previous JLI course?
Oh, yeah?
Last year, remember?
Okay, I don't remember. I can't remember what I did yesterday. So the Eibishter over here, in essence, coming back to the goydel, the talking lottery. The talking lottery. What do we learn from the talking lottery? Why was there need of a talking lottery? What is the lesson of a talking lottery? Of a piece of paper that talks. I don't know if it was a piece of paper. I don't think they had paper. I don't know. It was a tablet. It was a piece of metal. It was a piece of rock. I'm not sure exactly what they had. Parchment, whatever it was, I'm not sure.
I don't think the Chinese invented paper yet.
I have no idea what it was, a parchment, or it was a piece of metal, or it was a piece of rock. I don't know what it was. Whatever it was, not important. Is the concept of where you have in Chassidus, what are the most important concepts in life? What is you learn Tanya, what are the most three important things in your life? Machshava, Dibur, and Maisa. Thought, speech, and action. To be able to speak, you need thought, right? You're brain dead, God forbid, you can't speak. So you need thought. Every speech needs thought. Every speech can have thought speech, but the action is ultimate, the third link that creates these three entities to have a viable existence. Thought, speech, and action. Thought nobody will know what you're talking. Nobody will know what you're thinking without speech, Speech is cheap without action. Thought, speech, and action. This was the lottery. The lottery, thought, speech, and action. That's what this lottery accomplished. The lottery accomplished to show a Jew the importance of thought, speech, and action. Because the other three things didn't have speech. Or did not, or who knows if they had thought. But here we have, in one aspect, in the giving of the Eretz Yisrael, when the Eibishter wanted to give Eretz Yisrael to each and every tribe, he wanted to show them that it's important that everything comes down into thought, speech, and action. So it's not a miracle in vain. It's a miracle. It's a miracle that it teaches us what means to conquer a land, what means to take over something, the conquering land in the physical way or the conquering of a land in a spiritual way. What means to conquer? You came down to the world to conquer the world. That is your obligation, to conquer your part of the world, to control your part of the world, to be a balabas, to be a master of your destiny, so to say, right? How do you create a master of the destiny? Here the Torah tells you not to take things for granted, not to take things for nothing, that it just happened. Oh, I was in the wrong place in the wrong time. What am I doing here? Or what is this time? What is the value of this time? Is it all about the past? Is it all about the present, future? No, it's about the present. It's about the thought, speech, and action of the present. It's all about the present. Right now, your thought about the present, your speech about the present, and your action about the present. If you're missing in these three things, you're missing in the purpose of the present. How do you create a true present? When your thought, speech, and action is involved in the present, in the time, the present time. So the Rebbe writes, text number 7. I would say in English. The conquering army is only successful. It invests all its forces and all the elements of its military. In general, we function through three garments: thought, speech, and action. If we don't utilize all three, we are not fully successful. If the army conquers without a well thought out plan or without a verbalizing instruction to its officers and its prisoners, it will not conquer fully. Same applies as a plan and acts upon it, but fails to communicate it properly. It might conquer, but not completely. The vanquished will continue to resist with at least some other of the faculties. Therefore, you need it to have, when you want to do something, you have to have all these three things. That's about Chassidus, about anything in life. You need, they are called the three garments of the soul. You want to have a soul. You want your soul to function in a complete, that it goes through all the concepts of its mission. It needs to have these three things: thought, speech, and action. The general concepts, okay? Needs to have the thought. It needs to be well thought out. It needs to be well articulated. And it needs to be brought down in reality. If you have something that's well articulated, well thought out, but has nothing to do with reality, then that's nothing. If you do things without thinking things out, then you're not going to be accomplished. Even though you say, oh, the action is the most important thing, yes, but it's not a well thought out action. It's not well developed action. If you're having action with somebody else, says, for example, you're trying to accomplish something with somebody else, it needs to be articulated. It needs to be well thought out, articulated, and then brought down into action. If not, you're going to have a half-created concept. You'll have a mixture.
Our purpose is not to have a relationship with God.
It is. If I want a relationship with God, it has to be the same thing. Machshava, dibur, ma'aseh. I have to understand God. I have to praise God, and I have to do His wishes. It needs to be thought, speech, and action. You need to have these three concepts: to the best of your ability in thought, to the best of your ability in your communication with God, and ultimately, you can't say that I don't have to have action. That action is not important. No, you need action, because that's the levush, that's the garments of the soul. You need to have a concept of action. That's why the Gemara says, the most important thing is action. If you don't have any action, then it's all has no value. It's all It's fantasies. You can live in illusions. It's an illusion. It could be a total illusion. And if you want to live in illusions, gesund hate. But then don't complain later that you don't really have a true relationship. It's not a relationship within each other. If I just have a nice talk to you, but whenever I need you, whenever you need me, I say I can't. So what's the relationship? It's not a true relationship. I need to show it in thought, speech, and action.
But the relationship can be different for a different person.
I'm just giving you a general concept. I can't give a specific every situation. It's self-understood. I'm not saying what action is. Action could be many different ways. An action means ava and yira. I have a love to you, right? No, I'm talking serious. So we have Avis Yisrael.
The Sesame Street song, because you put that.
I'm sorry. I apologize. I have a love to you. It's Ava. That's why it says that wisdom has to create a love. That's thought, speech, and action. Love of somebody is not just cheap talk. Because you can say you love somebody, but you really don't love them. So it's not. So that means if you say you love somebody and you really don't love them, because it's missing in your thought, speech, and action. So if you cannot tell somebody I love you, then there's a problem also. Then there's a problem in that thought. There's something missing in the thought.
With the thoughts,
Okay.
action. It doesn't always seem like it leads to relationship with God sometimes.
It does.
Because
That's why we have Torah, Avodah, Gemilah, Chesed, the three pillars of what the relationship stands. It's not me, it's a Mishnah. There are three pillars that stand between the pillar between me and God. Torah is thought, Avodah, prayer is speech, Gemilah Chesed is action. Good deeds, action.
I hope our thought, speech, and action gets us to a place where one day we don't need armies and garments.
Again, you're thinking about the future.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking about the future. You're thinking about the future.
I'm talking about the present.
The present. That's it. That happen right now. That's it. You have to make it happen right now. Thought, speech, and action. You cannot. You trust me. You should right now do thought, speech, and action in good. I don't know if that's going to stop wars in the world right now. But that and Amir Shema will, but it doesn't take away from the present, because the present is what's important. The future, that's not important. And let me tell you something. I'll go another step further. Let's say you do good and everything, and Taka, in a day from now, no more wars. It has to be connected because I did something good. No, because the present is what's important. I don't have to worry about the future right at this present time. Right now, I need to be good. Right? Even though there's hatred in the world, there's anger, and there's war, but I need to be good. If everybody would say that, we wouldn't have any wars ultimately. But
I hate, I don't want to hurt.
Don't hate, don't hurt. That's it. You shouldn't.
I love you, you love me.
That's correct. We're one big happy family. Ready? So our text number 11, text number 8 of the Rebbe. Our capture and division and settling of the land represents our spiritual effort to conquer the land of Canaan, the land of the 7 nations. Again, don't take this physically. I know you're ready. We're now running off with this. We're talking a spiritual concept, right? And transferring it into land, a holy land, a Jewish land, clearly connected to Judaism, godliness, and holiness. We accomplish this by using the land to fulfill divine commandments that can only be fulfilled in Israel, and by building a holy temple in this land. The land, of God said, build a sanctuary for me, and I will dwell in it. This is also the intention, and the purpose of the entire creation. It's to subdue the tangible world. As the verse says, be fruitful and multiply. Fill the world and subdue it. That's the conquering of the world. In a spiritual sense, relax. Why is everybody so jittery today? You have issues in this class? And turn this lowly sphere into a home of God, a place where God fully manifests as we are in our home. We have to make everything comfortable. Make this world comfortable for spirituality. How is the world comfortable for spirituality when it's positive? It's a positive world. It's a good world. It's a comfortable world. It's a loving world. We all love each other. We don't have to be like each other, but we still love each other. In text number 9, we're coming to an end for this class. In 1857, one of the great Chassidim asked my honorable saintly grandfather and teacher, Rabbi Menachem Mendel Lubavitch at Tzemach Tzedek, the third Lubavitch Rebbe, whose soul resides on high, he passed away already, may his memory protect us, about traveling to the land of Israel. He opened his heart to the Rebbe and revealed us to move to Israel. Revealed that he yearned desperately. We're talking about in the 1800s. Okay, trust me. Moving to Israel in the 1800s was not an easy thing to do. It was a very difficult life in Israel for everybody, especially for the Jews. Extremely difficult. It was under the Ottoman rule. It was not an easy situation. But he had a desire to go to Israel. He had a desire in those times to move to Israel. And he yearned desperately to study and pray with diligence in the Holy Land. So the Tzemach Tzedek, the third Lubavitch Rebbe, looking at again in the 1800s, replied, we must turn this land into Israel. Make here Eretz Yisrael. Mach da Eretz Yisrael. Sure, we should all be in Israel. That is our dream. That's the end, right? That's the end product. No. We daven every day that we should go back to the land of Israel. This is only a
Temporary stop.
a pit stop. This is only a stop. It's in our journey, in a Jewish journey. Maybe not your personal journey, but in the Jewish journey, it should be in personal. But in the Jewish journey is that the prophet says that the Mashiach is going to come and is going to gather in the gathering of Israel from all the lands, from all the countries. That's the spot. That's our journey.
So the Alter Rebbe didn't go to Israel because the Mashiach had to come.
Correct. So that's what the Tzemach Tzedek said, Mach da Eretz Yisrael, make over here Israel. Sure, our journey is to all be in Israel. That's no question about it. But that doesn't mean that as that journey will come one day into a reality, at this present time you're here, you make here Israel. Make right over here Israel. You don't have to wait to go to Israel to be in Israel. No. Because why you want to go to Israel? You want to go to Israel, not because you think it's a beautiful country, because it's a holy country. You want to go to Israel, as a Jew said, I feel that I'll be able to do my service of God in Israel on a greater level. So he said, okay, that's true. But first you need to make over here Israel, and then you can go to Israel on a greater level. But you need your journey until then doesn't end. But the Rebbe was, the Lubavitch Rebbe was always into Mashiach, the coming of Mashiach. That was his focus in his life. Because he wanted to bring Messiah. He really did. The Rebbe wanted to bring Messiah to the world. That was his agenda. He said that openly. He wanted to bring about that. And then one year, in Tafshin Beis, in 1992, he came out with Shnas HaBinyan. He came out that everybody should buy their homes. He was very into building Chabad houses in the world, and that was when it started really the push to create, he called it Shnas HaBinyan, the year of building. So somebody asked him, I don't understand, you want to go to Israel, and here you're telling people to buy homes in America. So he said it's not a contradiction. It's not a contradiction. Sure, we're praying that Mashiach comes and we'll all be in Israel, but we're still in the journey. And that doesn't mean you shouldn't make the present a place of stability and a place of Yiddishkeit, a place of beauty. That's not the meaning. The meaning is, I'll live in a hotel until no, this is not just the hotel. This is a place where this is part of your journey. Part of your journey is important as the outcome of the journey. So don't diminish the journey, even though the outcome is that we should all be in Eretz Yisrael. Right now, you're here in America, you're in this journey of America, or wherever you are. Make it blossom. Make it holy. We live in the present. And right, I mean, you can say for the present, because it is for the present. Ultimately, we need to make in the present. We need the Abish to create this present, and the Abish to put you in Boca. So you need to make Boca blossom. That's your avoid. Oh, but we need to go to Israel. You're right. I agree with you. But you need to pack your bags first before you go. Okay? So the packing of the bags is as important as the getting where you're going. It's an important thing. And therefore, the gullus, wherever you are in the world, is important to make it blossom. It doesn't contradict that in Mitzvah Hashem, we're all going to go to Eretz Yisrael. It doesn't contradict the present. You need to live in the present. Right now, you're in America, you're in Boca, Israel, wherever you are, make it blossom. Make it your home. Make it a place for godliness. It doesn't change the fact that in Mitzvah Hashem, we're going to come and enter this gullus. And the Rebbe would say that Arizal says that if you buy a house in America, this is one of the spiritual things of the Arizal, that the house will go with you to Eretz Yisrael. Okay? And especially like this beautiful synagogue we built here in Boca. When we built a synagogue, why we built a synagogue? To bring Yiddishkeit in the world. What was the point of bringing Yiddishkeit in Boca? Is to Mitzvah Hashem to change the world. That was the reason we came here. That's the whole purpose. The purpose is not to build something here that we will stay here forever. No, we'll elevate Boca, and by elevating Boca, we'll elevate the world. And the Mitzvah Hashem will take this synagogue, Be'ezat Hashem, and we'll transport it to Eretz Yisrael, and we'll have Chabad West Boca. I hope in a nice place, in some place in Jerusalem. I'll have a nice piece of property wherever it lands. That's where we're going to continue in Eretz Yisrael. But imagine if you would go with a shack there, or you'll go with a beautiful building. We're going to go with a beautiful building because we built the present. We don't diminish the importance of the journey. We don't diminish the importance because we're here, just like you're in Israel. We're here in Boca, or wherever you are, you're there also for that journey. That is also an important part of the journey. It has its own purpose. It has its own agenda. It has its own greatness. And that's the lesson. So the Pia Geidel is what do I do right now with my thought, speech, and action? Not only about the future, what am I doing right now in thought, speech, and action? Or I'm only thinking about the future. I feel the now has no value. There's the value of this whole now. It's all about the future. No, it's not true. You got the wrong, that's not a Torah concept. A Torah concept is the future is important. That's why you need to pack. You need to pack. I don't want you to call me up and say, we're not packing. If you need to go someplace, please pack. You need to pack. But the packing is part of the present. The packing itself is a purpose in why you're packing now. And you should pack early because it's important, the packing.
So if we're in that spiritual holy moment now,
right?
You, me, anybody,
right?
What do we need Mashiach?
Because we need because Mashiach is a whole different concept. It's a concept of revelation of God. We need the revelation of God. I want revelation.
But if you're in that holy moment, you're in that.
Yeah, but the holy moment that I'm in is not revealed. I'm in the holy moment, but I need the revelation of godliness, and that's why I'm in Gullus. So we're in Gullus. We're in exile. So that's the problem. It's not a great exile. It's not a holy moment, but the holiness I don't see. That's the problem. I don't see this holiness. I believe in it, but I don't see it. I don't see the holiness. That's my problem. It's a problem. It's a major problem for me. I'm not saying it's a problem for you, but I'm saying it's a major problem for me.
So you think you see the holiness when we clear?
That's the promise. Don't sue me later. That's the promise. That's the promise. That's the promise. That's the old prophecies. That's the promise. So that's the promise of the future. That's the promise.
When you said that,
no, because you realize, because you want no wars. You want no wars. You can't have your cake and eat it. You cannot, Charles. You cannot have your cake and eat it. No wars. No famine. No wars. No, because you can't have your cake and eat it. It means you can have cake and not gain weight. You can't have your cake and eat it. So you cannot have, you don't want wars and famine and hatred. We need revelation of God. And that's going to be because God's going to take away impurity from the world. And that's what we need. So until then, it's a problem. It's all good. You can create love and the communities can create love, but the world at large is a very big project. And if you think that's going to happen, okay, that's what we're trying. But ultimately, God's going to take away evil from the world. Because evil is a God concept.
Now, we don't get that.
I'm a person that thinks about the world, not only about myself. I'm thinking about the Jews in Israel. I'm thinking about the poor people in Ukraine or whatever, in Russia. Or I think about the poor people in North Korea. I mean, what about them? How we need to bring salvation to the world. We need to bring purity to the world, not only to the Jewish world, but to the world at large. Yeah, not the oneness. I need the revelation of godliness. I need that revelation. I need that revelation to bring that oneness in a real reality. I can bring the oneness in my group or in my family or between us, but it's very hard to bring this oneness in the world. And that's why, and that's why the world is in gullus. The world is in exile. Not only the Jews are in exile, the world is in exile because we don't have revelation. So that's what I care about. It's not about myself, right? You can think everything's fine with myself. Who's bothering me? I'm about beautiful Chabadas, beautiful people, and everything's great. What's the problem? What's your problem? No, my problem is the world. My problem is the sadness in the world. My problem is that I'm rushing to hospital with people. The sickness in the world. That's my problem. My problem is I'm going to visit a young child that has a very terminal illness. That bothers me.
Can I go in? What you're saying right now is absolutely beautiful. Period.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It's true. It's true. Because it bothers me. Right? It does bother me. It bothers me when and it bothers me death in the world, whether it's a Jew or non-Jew, anybody. It bothers me. It does. And I'm hoping for a time. And I understand that I cannot really see my kindness to you is going to change the world. Even though it does, I believe that, but I need to see it. That's my problem. I don't see it. So I hope I'm a kind person and I'm trying to do good things in this world. But ultimately, I listen to the news and every day I hear another tragedy. So I need Mashiach. I need the revelation of God in the world. God will take away sickness from the world and pain from the world and hatred and all these negative things in the world. And I hope for that day. No, listen, I don't need medication. And you can't expect to medicate the whole world. So no, I'm not sad. I'm not, it bothers me. I'm not depressed, which is sad in a way because I should be depressed. Because there's so much sad and pain in this world. Why there's so much pain in this world?
Maybe we need to keep the revelation within ourselves, and as we see ourselves changing, evolving in the revelation and our involvement.
Yeah,
that's
I know, but ultimately, I realize that there are things that I am capable of bringing kindness and good things in the world, but it's very limited. I'm very limited. So I do my best, and everybody should do their best. I'm not arguing with you. Everybody should do their best and more than their best. But ultimately, we need to have something great to happen over here. I'm looking for something great. And that's why I pray for it. It says, I daven every day that God should accomplish this, through my work. I understand that God's saying, you do yours. Okay, I'm trying to do mine. Everybody should try to do theirs. But ultimately, the Abish needs to bring about something in this world. You think about all the wars and what's going on? There's a missing link someplace. It's a missing link. We're all smart. Usually, wars in the past, nobody knew about it, right? Who knew about it? If you were there, you knew about it. If you weren't there, you didn't know. Today, everybody knows about it. Not only everybody knows about it, everybody talks about it, everybody contemplates about it, everybody, we rationalize it, we don't know, we fight about it. Why can't we come to some kind of of understanding in this situation? Like we can't, for some reason. You can talk about it, rationalize about it, all the commentators about it, and everything is known. There's no secrets, right? There's no secrets anymore. So everybody knows of every tsar that's happening in the world, which in a certain way is sad that you know of a tsar that's happening in Australia. You know of a tsar, pain that's happening on the other side of the world. It was much better to be ignorant, in a way. Serious. It was, in a way, it was much better. You didn't know what was happening. Hear no evil, see no evil, have a good day. What am I? I'm a simple guy, farmer in Poland. What did I know what was going on? Like my father did. I was in Poland. What do I know what was going on in the world? Nothing. There could have been a war next city. I had no idea about it. I was living in my little shtetl. And that's it, And my father told me the first time he saw a street lamp, he thought it was the moon. In his city, there was no electricity, So he saw, wow, he went to Warsaw. He saw these lamps. He thought a bunch of the moon came down a couple of places. Like, what the heck is going on over here? Like,
That's why you have to apply what you just read today.
I'm going to
The world changes.
I'm going to apply. I'm going to apply.
Still apply these beautiful basics.
100%. I agree. That's how we're learning it. Let's finish this off already. For what purpose did God bring you from your city to Vilnius region, to your city to Kherson region, whatever these different places in Russia and Poland? If it were just to a livelihood, God could have provided you with the students where you are and where you're living is nearby. Have you considered that a person's steps are established by God for a hidden purpose? Are you just thinking in the financial steps? When God told patriarch Abraham, a blessed memory, go from your land, Genesis, and it's written, Abraham traveled continuously southwards. The cosmic rectification of the world began. That's where Chassidus said started the journey of a person. By decree of divine providence, we travel from place where the divine spark that must be rectified awaits their redemption, like inmates from prison. Saintly people who have lofty visions see where their sparks awaits them, and they go there. As for ordinary people, the cause of all causes and the prime mover orchestrates various reasons and circumstances to bring them to a place where the spark they are assigned to rectify resides. So, as I told you the story of the hospital, that's the Eibishter brought you there. That's why you came there. That's the real reason. So, text number 11, we'll end this off. What goes on in another part of the world, in another time, undertaking that they have their own framework and their own purpose, is not our concern. Our responsibility is to devote ourselves completely through thought, speech, and action to making this our specific location and our specific time into a land of Israel. Don't worry about the world. You're not given the responsibility of the world. The Eibishter brought you to Boca. That's what God wants of you right now. That's what God wants of you right now. This is the only way for us to have a global impact. You're right, you're going to have a global impact. You make the present greater, you'll have a global impact in every place and every time, because our assigned portion of the world includes the whole world. So, okay, you'll get it. Your accomplishment here includes the world. But stop worrying about the world. Focus. Focus on the now. Okay, well, let's end over the last one, text number 12. All around the world, this is not the Rebbe, this is Shula Brisky. She wrote, I don't know what it is. All around the world, women and girls bring in Shabbos by lighting candles on Friday afternoon, 18 minutes before sunset. But when they are lighting 18 minutes before sunset, bring in Shabbos in Australia, it's not yet Shabbos in Israel until 8 hours later, when women there will light candles. And then 7 hours later, New York people will light Shabbos candles. And eventually in California, the last guys are going to light Shabbos candles, right? Because they're 3 hours after New York. And bring in Shabbos in a different time. The very last time zone is the furthest point in the earth, is the Aleutian Islands. And the Aleutian Islands is the very last place in the world that every Friday has an opportunity to light Shabbos candles. You and your, this is a famous story. Now I remember. This is a famous story. There were two Bachrim, there were two young guys who went to Aleutian Islands to visit, to meet Jews.
You know where that is, right? No.
I'm not sure. It's Alaska someplace, right?
Islands that
So
touches Siberia.
So they came to the city. This is a beautiful story. So they came to the city, and they were looking for Jews. There were very few, not a lot of Jews there. They found out there was one. The mother called them up, said, "I'm Jewish, and my daughter is Jewish. come to my daughter's class. Tell her, these two rabbis, like two Martians. So they came to this and they said, say something, like tell her something nice about being Jewish. So he came up with this. He said, the Aleutian Islands is the last island to light the Shabbos. It starts off with Australia and it ends off with Aleutian Islands. So can you imagine you're sitting here in Aleutian Islands and you're the last one to light the Shabbos candles for the entire world. You were the one. You're this girl. He said, you are the last one in the entire world. Starts off in Australia. And then Israel, whatever, all the countries, as it goes down, it's going country to country, lighting Shabbos candles. But really, the truth is that the whole world is waiting for you. The whole world, from Australia to you, is waiting that you're going to light the Shabbos candle, because you're going to be the last one in the world to light the Shabbos candles. What a beautiful thing he came up with on the spot. Beautiful story. You and your mother have an opportunity to usher the light of the Shabbos to the entire Aleutian Islands and the entire world. So you're not lighting only the Shabbos candle for the Aleutian Islands, you're lighting it for the entire world. The whole world is waiting for you to bring in Shabbos, because when you bring in Shabbos, the whole world has now brought in the Shabbos. Even though Australia did it 15 hours ago. You will be the very last Jewish girl in the world each Friday. Like Stacy, Usher Shabbos, and your Shabbos candle is completing the unified circle. So you, little young girl, you, the one who's going to complete the circle of the Jewish people lighting the Shabbos candle. What a beautiful story. But that's the lesson. The lesson is each and every one of us needs to take the present into account. Have a wonderful and beautiful day.
Live for today.
What?
Live for today.
Live for today, because you can complete the whole concept today. You can complete it. Have a wonderful day, everybody. If you need a book, next week, if you come here, we'll have the book. If you're not here, please order the book so you'll have it for next week.
Thank you.